How's it going, guys? Artemox here, and a lot of students have been asking me, okay, I already got a lead, what do I do with it now? Or, what should I be thinking at X or Y point in the game? And this is why I'm here, guys. I'm here to give you a reference guideline as in what you should be thinking in terms of the game, especially in the jungle. Obviously, this is for all roles because this is basically League of Legends as it is, but then again, you're going to be able to check out here and get some idea, especially for those lower elo players, so that you can guys have an idea on what you should be thinking. If you like this content, please like and subscribe, share the video for other players who might want to know about these references, and yeah, stay healthy and let's right into it. So people have been asking me, hey Artemox, when you're playing, what do you usually think about? Or, questions like, okay, I already got a lead, what do I do with it? Well, I'm right here to explain all these things because it's kind of simple, I would say, right? The first thing, you need to be dividing this game in like a couple different phases, right? You divide it through the early game, you divide it through the mid game, and you divide it through the late game. And sometimes you wonder, okay, through the early, mid, or late game, okay, perfect, I already know that, but then what do I focus on every part of the game? Well, I am a jungle main, so I'm going to be dividing it as in a jungle, but then I'm going to be taking other examples as other examples as references too. So I personally I like to divide this game in three phases: pre-15, post-15, and 30 plus. And again, this number, this 15, it's very variable, right? It could come out earlier, it could come out later on, but it's basically usually around this area right here. This is what I like to think about as the early game, the mid game, and the late game, where this is the early game, this is the mid game, and this is the late game. So, knowing already this, why 15? Obviously because 15 is kind of the half, and then you have the plating subs, right? So when you have plates up, it's really tough for you to start, going for towers, because towers are going to be really rough to take. So we're going to be focusing on this early game into building up an advantage. And again, this is not just for the jungling side. It is going to be for everyone, right? Because at the end of the day, as a jungler, how do you get an advantage? Well, vision, objectives like heralds and dragons, farming, ganking, etc. Right? This is for jungling. But then for other lanes, let's just say 80 carry. Oops, no, I think you guys cannot see that. Let's just say for 80 carry, let's just say for mid lane, or let's just say for top lane. How do you get advantages? Well, farming, obviously, trading, solo killing, platings, etc. Right? So this is how you technically get an advantage in the laning phase. Obviously, this is very basic, but then again, the main purpose of the video is to actually create a guideline. There's a lot of factors that come into this, like for example, into farming and trading, there's a lot of factors like matchup, patterns of gameplay, solo killing has to be with trading, taking the place has to be with vision, like all of these things has some specific. But yeah, this is technically the general what you want to be looking at. On the early game, you're going to be getting advantages because platings are kind of hard to take, especially the more you take them, the harder they are to take. And obviously, this is why Herald is so good, because Herald gives you a massive amount of value. It's going to allow you to take from three platings to all the tower, and that's a huge influx of gold. So yeah, basically as a jungler, this is how we get advantages, right? You're gonna get vision, objectives through heralds and dragons, farming, ganking, etc. So after you get a lead, which is basically what happens with everyone, right? It should be around what? This is why I say that this is a very different reference. This number can vary, right? These 15 minutes can vary a lot. So it could come out earlier, it could come out later on. It's not the same thing getting a Kraken Slayer, let's say. It's not the same thing getting it at 8 minutes than getting it at 12 minutes. It's very different time frames in the game, because if you get it at the 8-minute mark, you're massively huge. But then if you get it at 12 minutes, you're kind of average. So that's what we're kind of working around here. So after you get a lead, the core of this game is basically going for objectives or going for towers, because you have to destroy this tower, this tower, this tower, this objective, these two towers, and then the nexus. So the main thing is that you need to go for objectives, which are going to be mainly towers. So after plates are down, towers are weak. Again, through that mid-game phase, you're going to work around everything so that you can use those advantages and turn them into objectives. This is how you create like a lockdown for the enemy. This is how you create a submission. Obviously, the main objective is going to be towers because, you know, Herald helps you get tower, Barons helps you get tower. Like all of these objectives allow you to take towers. So that is something that you need to be able to understand. And then obviously there's a lot of things that come into actually playing for objectives, because it's really easy for me to tell you, okay, you know, I'm going to be playing for objectives, but then it's not really what we're looking for, right? If we're going to be playing for objectives, what does that mean? Well, you simply are going to create plays that around an objective so that you can actually take it afterwards. So, you know, vision comes into play, you know, lane states as in, you know, understanding who's the strongest member of your team, who's the stronger on the enemy team, what's strong, what's not. Like all of these things are very, very important. So vision, understanding who's strong and who's not, you know, itemization, power spikes, like all of these things are very, very important in order to actually start playing for objectives or planning out as an objective. Something that I always like to say is that if you don't know how to play for objectives, just identify one. You know, let's just say that you want to take this tower and just push this lane. Just push this lane, because what this is going to create is going to create pressure. And what happens when you create pressure? Well, you know, you create uncomfortable positions for the enemy, because if you create pressure, they're going to be like, oh my god, I have to defend top now. Oh, I have to defend bot line now. Oh, I have to defend mid lane. And then they're going to start moving them around, and as they move, you can pick them up on rotations, you can make them lose CS and a lot of things that, you know, it's beneficial to your team and not to the enemy. So normally that 15 to 30 minute mark is basically the time that you go for objective. And in my mind, again, this is all my opinion, guys, this is the time frame where you actually kind of 1v9 at this point. Obviously depends on the champion, depends on your play style, depends on a lot of things, but this is, to me, the time frame where you can actually 1v9 the whole game. Obviously, you can 1v9 at 30 minutes, but at 30 minutes plus, it's kind of more difficult. Why? Because, you know, I hate this area of the map. Because at 30 minutes plus, everybody has items. Something that you have to understand is, okay, you know, what is a Vayne? 0-10 Vayne at 10 minutes, you know, it's not too huge, right? You know, let's just say that she has a components for her, let's just say Kraken Slayer or whatever. I love that item, I'm sorry guys. Let's just say that she only has components, right? It's completely fine. But then if you think about it, a 0-10 Vayne, because she's gonna have items, the game gives natural gold. They can come back into the game through like not being effective on pressuring and pushing their advantages. This is why a lot of games go into the late game. So after they go 0-10, but then instead of actually only having components to Kraken Slayer, let's just say that she has Kraken Slayer, Ginsu's, Boots, GA, IE, and Phantom Dancer. And again, this is not the most optimal build, but it's just out of my head. She has a lot of items, and it's going to be way more difficult to kill her when she is at this stage, she is at this stage. Same thing for tanks. Yeah, you can kill tanks earlier, but the more tanky items they get, the more difficult it's going to be. And this is why the scaling on the champions is very, very important. This is why understanding which champion you're playing, how strong he is, and what part of the game is really, really important. So you really need to be careful at what point you're going to be playing, you know, 30 minutes plus, 20 minutes or 15 minutes or early game. Because one, a lot of players tend to get like really, really hasty when they get strong and they end up closing out the game. And then they tend to be really, really slow. And then even if they have an advantage, they don't do anything with it. The game stall out. That Vladimir and that Vayne actually scaled out and they just murdering everyone. So you got to be really, really careful on that. So yeah. Gotta be careful. This is a phase 30 minutes plus that we're gonna be using technically just for team fighting, you know, setting up picks, vision, because what's gonna happen here is that if you get one pick, it's gonna be a 4v5 for around what? It's gonna be a 4v5 for around 50 seconds, which is huge. And then if you're close to the tower, let's just say that you kill the enemy here in this tower, then you're just gonna go ahead and be able to close out the game in a 4v5 setup. Obviously, more often than not, mechanical mistakes happen, so high chances that the play or 4v5 that you're going is not successful. That's why you cannot be that hasty. But at the end of the day, this is why 30 minutes plus is so dangerous, because we're talking about, okay, you know, you don't want to get here, but then if you do get here, you need to make sure that one, your minimap awareness is checked. You need to check out that your mechanics are checked. You need to make sure to understand the power of the enemy champion, and you need to make sure that you don't get picked off, because if you don't get picked off, it's going to be really, really, really bad for you. If anything, they just get 2 kills, they're going to be able to do Baron, they're going to be able to do Elder, they're going to take your 3 inhibs, and then something that was looking to win is just basically losing. And not just that, but advantages, they basically work like this, guys. So this is the graph, this is going to be time, and this is going to be gold. It gets to a point, you reach a peak, which is basically level 18 with 6 items. You cannot get higher than level 18, and you cannot get more items. So let's just say, okay, you know, I'm level 18, and then the rest of the enemy team is basically level 15 with 4 items, right? You know, you're 2 items ahead and 3 levels ahead. Perfect. Even though this advantage is not as huge as it would be like level 9 versus level 6. Like, the lower the level, the higher is the advantages because of what we've been talking into the game. So level 18 versus level 15, 2 items at lead, but then the longer the game goes, let's just say that you reach this spot at 20 minutes, right? Which is, I don't know how to do that yet, but I want to find out because I feel like this game is a level 18 master race. You need to make sure that at 20, if you got here and you keep stalling, you cannot grow higher, but then they will grow higher. They're going to get level 16, 17, 18, they're going to get natural gold, they're going to be farming, they're going to get 5 items and a half, and then 6 items. And now where did all your advantage go, right? And then you start thinking, okay, but then I need to keep farming so that I can keep up my advantage. No, the issue is not about farming. The thing is that you need to keep going, guys. So yeah, in summary, what you want to be focusing on is on the early game, which is basically pre-15, build up and advantage. After 15, from 15 to 30 minutes plus around there, you're going to be using that advantage into going for objectives. And again, a simple tip on this is just thinking about which tower you want to go for, or what do you want to play around. Want to play around Baron, want to play around Dragon, want to play around Baron, want to play around Herald, want to play around this tower, this tower, this tower, whatever. Just make sure that you have a plan on actually getting something, push it, and then just get it. And then if not, if all else fails and you get to this point in the game, just make sure that your mechanics are on point. Let's just make sure that your minimap awareness are on point, and you know, you don't get picked off, so that you can actually win at that point in the game. Because at 30 plus, one team fight could decide the whole game regardless of whatever happened on the first 30 minutes, okay? So yeah, that's it. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this references. Let me know what kind of references you guys use. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe for more. Let me know what you guys want to talk about next. And yeah, see you in the next video, guys.